All this was in tall fescue production. With tall fescue, where the ground hasn't been disturbed at all for probably 5 or 6 years, there isn't any seed that's been worked into the ground, so any volunteer seed is on top, and that gives it a good chance to all sprout before you come into replanting. What I found the most effective thing to do is come in after the last seed crop was harvested, and once the volunteer and the old plants rejuvenate in the fall, spray them with glyphosate, which is Roundup, and then let it sit all winter and do that again the next spring, and sometimes again the following summer before any planting is done, just to make sure that the old crop is completely removed and all seed is sprouted and been sprayed out as well. And so you go in with as clean as possible a slate to give the plants that you're putting in the optimum chance to succeed. In the emergent areas, plants that we didn't put in that came back very aggressively were the cattails, creeping spike rush, some of the other species of rush, some of the pond weeds. In the early stage, especially that first year or two, it's critical to really spend the time out there, know the plants, be able to recognize problems before they get a foothold, and then deal with them aggressively. A tufted hairgrass is one that's really easy to get started. Slough grass is a very easy one to get established. Some of the bulrush, we had real good establishment of that. Sedges are one, they're real slow initially, but then eventually they start coming on and showing a whole lot more productivity. Popcorn flower, downingia are some of the herbaceous species that have done quite well. That's Nelson's checker mallow. That's where we planted some of the little bit of seed in here, and this is pretty much in full bloom right now, and very pretty wetland plant that's really diminished just because of impact from destruction of wet prairies. This site is WRP, which is Wetland Reserve Program, and this is a site that was restored in 1996, and it was kind of my first wetland experience. And there's 320 acres. We put in a lot of emergent shallow water areas and then a fair amount of wet prairie, which this piece right here is a part of. And we actually came in on this just 2 years ago because the tufted hairgrass was getting so dominant, and did some burning and some other mowing plots. And where we are right here now is a piece that was burned. Had some significant burn out of the tufted hairgrass, which allowed a lot of the native forbs, especially popcorn flower, to really rebound and reestablish. A lot of these species kind of evolved with fire too, where there was a lot of historic burning. I think both just natural fires as well as Native Americans did a lot of burning just to manage wetlands for a lot of the different species that they harvested, over the centuries. And so it's part of the natural ecology of a lot of these plants, and so it kind of rejuvenates them and allows them to function more optimally than when they're just let go with no management like fire. I think a lot of it at this point in time is just evaluation over the next few years, just to kind of determine, which techniques provide the best long-term result. It's been very satisfying just to ride on your own place to be able to see all these different species, especially ones that weren't here prior to the wetlands going in, and be able to come down and regularly see wildlife that most people rarely ever see.